Hello, welcome back to JJ's Bakehouse. I'm Ginny. So today we're going to be making a chocolate drip cake. I'm going to do a 6-inch cake with a vanilla buttercream and a vanilla sponge. So let's get started. To begin with this, I'm making a regular vanilla cake. So here we go. So to begin, I've got 250 grams of caster sugar, so pop that straight in. I've also got 250 grams of butter. So in the usual way, I'm just going to whip those up as quickly as I possibly can for about 2 minutes until it's light and airy. Okay, that's exactly the way I want it to be. Oh, will that stay? Lovely. So light and fluffy, mousse like exactly the way we want it. So now I'm going to add 4 eggs and 150 grams of self-raising flour. And we're going to mix those up really slowly on your lowest speed until it is just combined. So keep watching, same as usual, just keep watching. And you don't want it to go too much. You want to get rid of that flour. We're nearly there. So I can just see it mixing now, so I'm going to turn that off. And then add my last ingredient, which I've got 2 tablespoons of milk and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. So I'm just going to pop that in there and give this another 30 seconds. So that is my batter mix. Completely done, ready to transfer it into my tins now. So I'm just going to tidy this up and we'll put it into the tin. Right, so I've got my tins here. I really want 4 layers out of this, so what I'm doing is I always use a bigger pan as my extra one, but hopefully you'll just have all 4 pans of the same size. So what you can do is you can be exact and you can measure it on the scales, but I tend to go by a spoon and just keep going round to make sure that it's all even. So obviously in that one I'm going to give the 2. One of mine goes in a different oven, so that's how I get away with that. And then there. And then lastly, all of that in there. And then I'm just going to level them off. And then these will go into the oven on 160 degrees centigrade for a fan assisted or 170 for a regular oven. And that will go in for around about 18 to 20 minutes. So we'll have a look at about 18 minutes, but I'll be back to you when they're cooking. Okay, so we've taken our cakes out of the oven and I've left them to cool, so they're ready. So now we're going to assemble this. So to begin with, I'm going to take some of my Swiss meringue buttercream. Now I have a recipe for this on my channel, so have a little look there for the whitest Swiss meringue buttercream and you should find it there. So that's what I'm using here. So just put some on the bottom. And then we're going to begin to build this. So I'm just going to take some of the buttercream there and move it around, making sure I kind of keep it as level as possible. And then with this one I am also going to add a layer of strawberry jam, just because that's going to add some nice flavour to it. I love buttercream and strawberry jam. So I've got my layer on there, and then I'm going to take some strawberry jam and just plop it into the middle just there. And don't take it right to the edge, because as the weight of the cake goes down, it's going to compress, come out, and then your cake's going to slide everywhere. So don't do that. So I'm just going to take it through the middle just there. Lovely. And then we're going to pop on the next layer. Now I like to tip that one upside down and put that one on, and then we're going to repeat and we're going to keep going, so I'll come back to you when I'm on the last layer. Right, I've got all my 4 layers on. Just got the buttercream and the jam, the buttercream and the jam, exactly the way I showed you. Now with jam, it tastes lovely, but it's slippy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a very, very small dowel through the middle so that I can get a definitely straight cake. So taking the dowel down to the bottom, seeing where it needed to be cut, and then cut that off and push that down. Use the end of the scissors if you need to, all the way through. And then that should keep my cake from moving and sliding around too much, and which is exactly what I want. So now we're going to finish off, put the rest of the buttercream around the cake, and then we just want to take it all around the sides. And this is why we've put that dowel in, because now otherwise your cake could be flying off everywhere, and we just don't want that to happen. And it's only a small dowel as well, very thin, just enough to provide that stability. And we're just going to put on our crumb coat. Now with a crumb coat, you want to take it so that you can see the crumb. So we're just going to cover all of the cakes here. Remember, you've got some around the sides, so that makes it easy, but you just don't want a really big layer on these cakes. So keep going round until all of the cakes, including all of the gaps, you don't want any gaps in this at all. There we are. If you slide at all, just push it back, but it's not going to be as bad as what it was. I just taken the excess off of the cake board, just because I like things neat. And there we are. That is our cake there, ready to go into the fridge. And that's our crumb coat. And then we'll come back and we will add the second coat. Okay, my cake's been in the fridge for about half an hour, so it's a little bit tacky now. So what we're going to do is just apply the outer coat. So we are just going to cover everything in a nice thick layer of buttercream all the way around. Don't worry if it goes everywhere, because you just pick it up and pop it on. It's so quick. This is my version of this. And easy, that I literally just fire this on. So as soon as this cake is completely covered, I'll be back to you. Okay, I've covered the cake completely in my vanilla buttercream. It is a little bit messy, and I've done that deliberately just to show you that the sides are slightly off and it is a little bit of a mess. If you have a look on my channel now, I'm going to be able to show you how you create a completely sharp-edged buttercream cake from this. So I'm going to come back to you as soon as I've taken this out of the fridge and it's completely straight and sharp edged. So have a little look on my channel there for my sharp edged cake, and I'll come back to you. Okay, so I've got my cake out of the fridge. It's now completely ready to be decorated. As I said before, I do have a tutorial if you want to have a look and see how I made the sharp edge and the smooth sides on this. A really easy tip on how to do it, so go across and have a look at that. Otherwise now I'm going to use a ganache in a drip form. So how I made this was 300 grams of milk chocolate cubed up and put into this bowl here. I then took 300 mils of double cream and I heated that on the stove until it was just before boiling. You don't want to boil the cream at all, just before that stage. And then I poured it over the top of the chocolate, waited 30 seconds, and then I just stirred it all in until it became this consistency. I left it then to cool, and this is what we get. Making ganache is really, really simple. A tip for you, if you have done something to make your ganache split, if you've never done it, brilliant, but I've done it. If it splits, don't throw it away. It's expensive with all that chocolate and the cream in there. Best thing to do is to warm up the chocolate on a low setting on the stove in a pan, and then get some milk and heat the milk to just like a room temperature like you'd give to a baby. And then take the pan off and slowly mix some of that milk bit by bit, like half a teaspoon at a time, and stir it, and it completely comes back. Do not throw away grainy ganache because it's such a waste. Okay, so now what we're going to do is put this drip on. People do this in various different ways. You can do it with a bottle, you can do it with a spoon like I'm doing it, you can do it around the edge, or you can flood the top. Now I like the effect of the flooding at the top, so that's what I do. But obviously you can do it in various different ways. So I'm just going to, as I've said, flood the top. So I'll pop it into the middle, like this, and then coax it around the sides. This way I still get that lovely look across the top. So there we go. I want to make sure that we've got enough to flood the sides, but start in the middle and just do it slowly, because otherwise if you do too much, it's not going to go well. And as you can see, it's starting to go down the sides there. Now this cake has just come out of the fridge, which is the best way to do it, because when the ganache hits the side of the cold, it will start to set, and it should stop that drip from going too far down. So again, just wherever you want them to be, the drips, just take it around. If you just want it to be like a drip, or if you want it to have more of an effect on the side like that, I like it to look more natural, so that's why I do it this way, instead of creating those drips with a bottle. There we go. Obviously be careful, because it will start to set quite quickly because the cake is cold. So there we go, that's my drip. I'm happy enough with that one. I know I said I did 300, that's what this is here, 300 and 300 mils. That's a lot. I'm going to go on and make some truffles and do some other things with that. Also, this cake here, we have got a strawberry inside, so I'm going to actually cover this with some chocolate covered strawberries, so we're going to use that. If you're just using it for a drip, only use 150 grams and 150 mils. That would be the best bet there. So there we go. Now we can pop that into the fridge just to make sure it sets off properly. Whilst our drip is in the fridge, which my fridge is obviously over there because I pointed. Whilst that's there, what we're going to do is we're going to cover these strawberries. So in some of this ganache that we've got, I'm just going to hold the strawberry by the top, pop it in, let it drain off. And then put on a baking sheet just to dry. So we're just going to do that quite a few times. So, right, we are near the end. So the drip cake has been in the fridge. It looks so glossy and nice. The drips have stayed because they've got cold, so that's exactly the way I wanted it, with the pour look where some of it fell over in larger lumps around the side. So I'm happy with that. The strawberry covered chocolate is, or chocolate covered strawberry, would probably make more sense, in the fridge. And now I've got the rest of my buttercream. Again, this recipe is on my channel, the Swiss meringue buttercream. So I've got this here. I have got a 2D nozzle on it as well. Now just a tip, when you do fill your piping bag, just put it on the table and push it all down so that you get as many of those air pockets out as possible. There's nothing worse than trying to make a nice design and then it goes and gets stuck with air pockets. So now we will begin. So just going to pipe on some bits there. Now I'm going to put strawberries in this, so I'm not bringing it to the extent of coming up, because there will be strawberries laid in there. Just make it look exactly the way you'd like it to be. Sometimes when I start, I don't really know what I'm doing until I come to the end. And then I'm just going to fill the middle bit up, because this is where I'm going to put the other strawberries. So you won't really see this, but it's something for them to stick into. some little stars through the middle and a couple on the side, just so that it looks nice looking into the side there. Okay. And then you can do anything you like there. Then you could pop some sprinkles over the top. I'm just going to put the strawberries on because that's my effect, but it's really down to yourself. Brilliant. So that gives me my height and it looks nice all the way around, and then we're going to pop those strawberries on. So we'll get those strawberries out of the fridge now and we'll pop those on. Right then, so I've got my strawberries and then I'm just going to start laying them across the top into that bed of icing there. Starting with the largest ones and working out in so that they're all pointing in near enough the same direction, and then carrying on through with the smaller ones around the outsides. My favourite part of making a cake is decorating it. And then if you wanted, you could just put a couple more for height, so just a little bit more. There we go. There we are. Really down to you, and there we go. That is our chocolate strawberry drip cake. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and have a go yourself. Hope you've enjoyed all the little tips that I've given you as well, and I'll see you soon.